Every time I think Midnight Grand Orchestra, the collaborative project between Hololive VTuber Hoshimachi Suisei and producer Taku Inoue, can't possibly get any better, they managed to one-up themselves. On October 25th, 2023, they dropped the second single of their upcoming album, Starpeggio. Midnight Mission is an amazing ride, and as a music nerd with a fascination for VTuber music in particular, I just knew I would be covering this project at some point. What I didn't expect was to put an entire video on the back burner to make this one first, but well, I can't just not talk about it. There are two really powerful yet subtle techniques that this song uses to keep you listening from beginning to end, and today, I'm going to teach them to you. First, let's establish our key. Fortunately for us, the strings do a lovely job setting us up. Already we're doing something cool here. The strings outline a pentatonic scale, which is like a normal scale but with only 5 notes, in the key of A major. What's unique about this particular pentatonic scale is that it can have one of two different readings. This is either a major blues pentatonic, which is an uncommon pentatonic scale in its own right, or something called a yo scale. See, the Japanese had their own long tradition of music theory and analysis outside of the influence of the musical stylings of European musicians from the 18th and 19th centuries. I'm actually going to link a video, both in the card on screen now and in the description, by fellow music YouTuber Sideways, where he goes a little more in depth, using the music of Joe Hisaishi and Studio Ghibli to prove this point. Basically, the Japanese had their own system of scale construction. It's what gives traditional Japanese music its distinctive sound. The influence of traditional Japanese music had a massive influence on Japanese pop music after the Second World War, combined with jazz, which was introduced by traveling American bands in the 20s and really picked up steam in Japan during the post-war occupation, flourishing for the 1950s onwards. There's a reason why a lot of modern Japanese music sounds the way that it does, and it's the synthesis of all of these factors coming together. Producers making music today were likely influenced by the J-pop and J-rock of the 90s and 2000s, who themselves were influenced by the city pop and synth pop of the 70s and 80s, who were themselves influenced by the emerging folku movement of the 50s and 60s along with their jazz contemporaries. Now, did Taku Inoue have any of this in his mind as he was coming up with Midnight Mission? Probably not. I honestly could just be pulling this out of thin air. Wouldn't be the first time on this channel. Sometimes as musicians, does it sound good is really the only criteria we use. All of this and we haven't even gotten past the first chord. What the fuck? So now that we're clearly established in the key of A, where do we go from here? I mean, yeah, sure. Okay, we'll go with that. Now on to the verse, where we finally get to use our first technique.
The supertonic.
The supertonic is the second degree of the scale. Its use, both as a melodic and harmonic device, has seen something of a resurgence over the last decade or so. See this Andrew Huang video for more information. It's a note that has a lot of flexibility, thus making the chord built off of it just as flexible. Taku Inoue elects to make the backbone of the verse the supertonic chord of A major, which is B minor 7. Then, just to be sure that anyone left in the all chords must be diatonic crowd have left, listen to this. Pulling a flat 7 major 7 and a major 6 dominant, neither of which are in the key of A major, is just phenomenal. This is something in music called borrowing chords. It's exactly what the name implies. Borrowing a chord from a different, yet related mode or key. In this case, the G major 7 comes from the key of D major, and the F sharp dominant, I suspect, actually comes from F sharp mixolydian, though I'm not 100% confident in that assessment. As we build to the chorus, we play with more borrowed chords as this B major sneaks its way into the arrangement. And then, the magic happens. A sudden key change that doesn't sound like the key changes you're used to, but doesn't sound so far out of place either. My eyes were practically bugging out of my head when I first heard this chorus. This was the moment I knew I had to make a video. What's happening here is a seemingly simple key change. We go from A major to C sharp minor. If you look at a circle of fifths, a handy little cheat sheet for musicians to see how closely related different keys are, you can see that this is a fairly easy jump, though unconventional. Most times when you see a key change like this, it's major to major, not major to minor, so already our ears are going to perk up. What makes this genius is that Taku Inoue uses the A chord, the root chord of the key the verses are in, as the pivot chord into the new key. A pivot chord is used to transition smoothly from one key to another. Without it, a key change can sound jarring to the listener. To find a pivot chord, you chart out all of the chords of the key you're in and the chord you want to go to. In this case, A major and C sharp minor. Then, you find the common chords between them. Here, our common chords are A major, C sharp minor, E major, and F sharp minor. Now any one of these can work as a pivot chord, but using the A major as the pivot chord delays the feeling that the key has been changed, especially since it's the first chord of the new progression. Most times, pivot chords set up a key change rather than start the key change itself. The result is a brief moment of harmonic ambiguity that catches you off guard before you adjust to the new tonal center. All of this taken together, the key change, the unconventional jump from major to minor tonality, using the root chord as a pivot chord, makes this moment hit harder. From here, the chord progression simplifies. Major 6, minor 5, minor 1, then minor 4, minor 5, minor 1. These are both fairly common chord progressions on their own, but back to back like this, it prevents the movement from getting stale and repetitive. Then, we swing out of the chorus and back into the verse with this crazy transition. Notice the parallels here. The chorus and the verses both have simple, easy to grasp chord structures with some unique flair to them. The transitions between them, however, are ear-catching and mess with your expectations. That's the secret to writing memorable music. Put the listener in a particular zone, pull them out of it in a functional but interesting way, and drop them into a new zone. Then do it again and again without overdoing it. I think that's the central lesson to learn here. It's easy to make music that fits to the form, that doesn't branch out and try something new. But if you want to be unique, you have to do something different. It's basic advice, sure, but it doesn't change how true it is. I'm not saying you need to go full Dream Theater or anything, but an extension here and a fun key change there will allow your music to stand out. Success in music, or really any creative field, is determined by how much the audience can stay engaged. The Midnight Grand Orchestra project has really come out swinging. Between their first album Overture and the singles leading up to Starpeggio, it's clear that Suisei and Taku Inoue make a phenomenal team. I'm sure I'll end up covering them again at some point in the future. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe. And be sure to check out my other videos too. Have a good one.